doctor gonna write? Together we will fight.
Vision and number one ranked.
Walter Walker is going to be taking on Louis Sutherland October 25th, UFC 321. Both these guys had fights fall off recently. Walter Walker's opponent, Usman, had too much testosterone synthetically. Sutherland's opponent, Tafa, couldn't even make the 266-pound limit. And now they fight each other October 25th. Walker wanted to fight October 25th in Abu Dhabi. He got his wish. A lot of people picking Walker via heel hook because he keeps winning that way. 3 in a row, trying to make it 4 October 25. Ian Garry, you can't call for a title fight if you're afraid to fight 5 rounds, is what Bilal Muhammad says. Bilal Muhammad says that he wouldn't take the fight unless it was 3 rounds. Maybe that's what the UFC told him. Maybe that is what Ian Garry requested, or maybe they didn't want to do a 5-rounder. You can make a case it should be a 5-rounder, but some people are like, good, nobody wants to watch Bilal fight for extra 10 minutes. How is this a 3-round fight? Some people wanted a 5-round fight. You can say they should fight 5 rounds. Bilal's a former champ. Machado Gary's been fighting in 5-round main events lately. Some would like a 5-round fight. Some would like this as the main event, but it ain't. It's the co-main event. The main event is Sarukian versus Hooker. That's 5 rounds. This is 3. Karate Combat in Miami. Karate Combat 57 in Miami. Friday, October 31st, Halloween. Some former UFC fighters on the card, like Uriah Hall versus Marcus Perez. That's the co-main event of the evening. Uriah Hall making his debut in Karate Combat, as is Violent Bob Ross taking on Rafael Alvarez. So that should be an interesting fight right there as well. Kevin Holland is fighting Mike Malott this weekend in the co-main event of UFC Vancouver. He says he thought he was fighting Jake Matthews. He says the whole time, I thought they were the same person. Maybe he's joking because he does like to joke around a lot. Maybe he's serious because he's not serious about his career at all in terms of winning fights, and it is reflective in his record. For the past few years, it's been lose 2, win 2, lose 2, win 2, lose 2, win 1, lose 2, win 2, and lose 1. He lost his last fight against Daniel Rodriguez. That was a fight that Kevin Holland was heavily favored to win, but he did not look good in that fight at all. Holland was coming off 2 great wins, so he was heavily favored in that fight, and then he looked really bad in that fight, but that's common in Holland's career. He looks great, and then he looks washed, and then he looks great, and then he looks washed, so it's like a common thing, but he showed a lot of heart and toughness in that fight, surviving against G-Rod. Both guys did. They both looked like they were going to get KO'd and stopped in that fight a couple times, but it did go the decision, and it did go the way of Daniel Rodriguez. People think Kevin Holland is a case of wasted potential, and he is in the sense of maximizing his wins in the sport. But on the other hand, he's kind of a case of maximizing his potential in terms of fighting so often. He fights more than anybody in UFC history, and he's willing to fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. Some guys say that. He does that. Some guys won't fight Khamzat Chimaev on a few years' notice. He fought Khamzat Chimaev on a few hours' notice. He's got big balls to do that. So on the one hand, he's a case of wasted potential in terms of wins. On the other hand, he's really capitalized and maximized his earnings in the sport, fighting so much, being entertaining in those fights, and being an entertaining personality outside the cage as well. So a bit of a contradiction, a bit of a case of maximizing potential on the one hand and wasting potential on the other. UFC BJJ3 got 9 million views on YouTube. A lot of people questioned that number, and a lot of people thought that the UFC just had bots, paid to have bots inflate the view count. Ariel Helwani provides a different potential conspiracy theory. He thinks it may be possible that someone else bought views on behalf of the UFC to prop up the view count and then call them a bunch of frauds, saying that they're the ones who bought the views. I don't know who would do that. Like, maybe he thinks Craig Jones did that to make the UFC look bad because Craig Jones was leading the charge, calling the UFC a bunch of frauds. So that's his potential conspiracy theory.
Can I throw out a hypothesis on my end?
Okay.
So I saw some people saying like, oh, look how pathetic the UFC is. They're buying views to prop up UFC BJJ. But let's be honest, it's the UFC. They don't need to buy views. They're the freaking most dominant force in all of combat sports. So
they have so much money, right? Like they don't like.
It's the third event. They're trying to build something new. Okay. Is it possible? I don't know. But is it possible you could buy views on someone else's page? You can attach those. Is it possible, Mikey, that someone bought views on the UFC page to then say, look at the UFC. They're frauds. Look at what they're doing.
Interesting.
Is that
like a setup? Like they planned?
Yes. Is that possible? I feel like that's a possibility. Who's paying attention to this sort of thing? I feel like someone might have planted it to then say, look at these frauds. Is that possible? That feels more plausible to me than them buying views on their video. What do you think?
Man, I don't know. That's very interesting also. But again, I don't know how these major organizations work. I was just pumped to see the 9 million number. But if it's not real, that kind of sucks. But hopefully it is. That would be like cool. But I get what you're saying. And like it was really fast how the views came up. So it seems weird. But
stoplight sparring session. I just think there needs to be repercussions for people that run their mouth in their trucks and flip you off and get all crazy and wild. But I just want to know, I live in a small town and out in the country, and I want to know, is the general census with everybody else, when you throw your car into park and open your door, that is signing on the dotted line, correct? For everybody out there. So don't think when I throw my car in park and open the door that there's more to be said out in this situation, right? Just curious what everyone else thinks. I think that you should have to answer for what you say, being on the computer, on the phone, in your truck. When you want to get wild and you want to get crazy, you should have to pay for the consequences that your mouth gets your ass in trouble. So fuck around and find out. I had a crazy guy driving wild, making gestures, going crazy. When we finally reached the light, I simply rolled my window down and I said, "What are you trying to do?" The only words I exchanged with the guy, he throws his car in park, opens his door. That to me is signing on the dotted line. Just curious what everybody else thinks. Let me know in the comments. I think you should have to put your name, number, and address down when you make shitty comments, and I think you should have to pay for actions you make in a car. I don't need to explain what else happens in the story. I'm sure many of you could elaborate in your mind what goes on, but I just think it might be wise for people to just shut the fuck up in your car.
Khamzat Chimaev on his last fight, his victory over DDP, says, "To be honest, I thought he'd be stronger than he was. He's not a bad fighter, but I didn't let him work much. My wrestling and grappling techniques are on another level. That's why he couldn't show what he wanted in the fight. He's not an extraordinary fighter, too. I remember when I beat Whitaker, broke his jaw, people started talking like he's old now. And in his last fight, he showed up against RDR, and it was a close fight. The fight could have gone either way. Same with Usman. When I defeated him, people said he just got old. Now he's a contender at 77 kg again." Khamzat may take on Nasruddin Amavov next, or if RDR has a crazy good performance over the weekend against Brendan Allen, maybe he sneaks in there and gets a title shot.
You Canadians cheer me on, eh?
I think Frankie Edgar should do grappling CJI or UFC BJJ. Nice pay, less CTE. He says he didn't want to do BKFC, but they kept persisting even after he rejected them. Then they offered him a lot of money, and he said yes, but he didn't end up getting any money, because they just took him off the card. Frank Edgar versus Tony Ferguson at GFL would be nice. GFL don't really exist. They're worse than BKFC in the sense that they don't even put on shows after announcing them. Feldman publicly stated Edgar couldn't get medically cleared to fight. Do you think Frank was going to let that slide and not say nothing? People assume BKFC's cash strapped. Artem Lobov in the past said that he's owed money from BKFC from 2019 fighting Paulie Malignaggi, but Connor's part owner of the organization, so he'll never pay him. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. If you want to support the channel, you can via super thanks donations. There's also a link on the main page. Until next time, thanks for watching.